has stayed there in the past. I don't think there was any intent to pull the wool over anybody's eyes. I think when these governors came into office, this is the way it had always been. So now, is that right? Should it be changed? Maybe it should be. I'm open to that. I'm open to hearing ideas about what it should be, so long as it's taken care of and protected. It is on the National Register of Historic Places. It is a historical treasure for South Dakota, and we want to protect it. But that doesn't mean the public can't have access to it. And it doesn't mean the public can't know who's using it. I don't have any problem with that.
It's a historical treasure that only the governor and lieutenant governor apparently have access to. I rented it 15 years ago for a family reunion. I called Game Fish and Parks, a guy named Raleigh Noam. I said, Raleigh, is it possible to rent it? He said, sure, $200 a night, no problem. I didn't get tested for politics. No one asked me my registration. But now, you have to be on the governor or the lieutenant governor's private list. And I'll tell you this, they don't pay. They don't pay anything to use that facility. You pay, taxpayers pay, but these individuals don't. And I just think that's wrong. It's fundamentally not like the way we do business in South Dakota. It's a gem that should be open to you as much as it is to them. In the 2007 legislative session, I called the governor's office because I wanted to take the Democratic state senators to Valhalla for a retreat. I wanted to rent it. I offered to rent it. I was told in no uncertain terms that I wasn't welcome at Valhalla, right? Now that's the truth. Ancestors of ours crossed an ocean to get away from attitudes like that. And this isn't a monarchy, this is a democracy. Here's what we ought to do with Valhalla. It ought to be treated as an extension of the Game Lodge, or Sylvan Lake, or Bluebell. And you ought to be able to rent it and pay a fair price for it. And then we ought to use those dollars to fix up the Black Hills Playhouse, which this administration closed down because they couldn't get enough money for a sewer system that would have cost $250,000, the same price that the sewer system at Valhalla cost and was paid for by your dollars. That's just wrong.
Yeah, you didn't get a bellyache from the upside rhubarb cake I fed you that day, did you? No? Anyway, I remember Mr. Heidepring too, and I went to testify on a committee dealing with House Bill 1301, which would have taken away from the counties all powers to make certain decisions. Out of that came a committee of 7 appointed by the governor. To my knowledge, there's only one, and he's from Cadota, that's an agricultural person, a rancher. And since the area in question that this committee deals with is rural, what are we doing? Will either one of you or both of you see to it that we get more representation? At least somebody who knows the issues here, you know. This person who's chairing it, you know, they're nice people and all that, but gee whiz, they've been on my case since 1995, when the Chamber of Commerce has tried to steal property rights from me continually. So I'm saying, you know, we got a appointed board. Will we change the complexity of that board for better representation? Thank you both for being here.
Absolutely. There isn't a level of government I can think of that deals more directly with agricultural issues than the county commission, unless you have a township board and you're organized in that way. And so it's critically important that that group be constituted in such a way that it reflects the rural nature of South Dakota and a lot of the issues that they're going to have to deal with.
I think the question related to the Ellsworth Development Authority. Isn't that what you're talking about? Yes. For those of you who may not be familiar with it, the Ellsworth Development Authority was created by the 2009 legislature. It's pretty well a unanimous vote in both houses of the legislature created an authority that could help protect the safety and land utilization around the Ellsworth Air Force Base, There was quite a bit of input from many people, including ranchers and others who would be affected by the property or by the authority. And there is a 7-person board. At least 2 of those, at least one of those board members will come off because he's moving into the legislature, Bruce Rampelberg, thank you. And so there will be an opportunity. I do think it's important to have a rural representation on the board. I think it's especially important that the board is comprised of folks that can consider all of the impacts that the authority may have as a board upon the area around, whether it's ag land, protecting your use as a rancher, or whether it's folks that are living in trailer courts in the crash zone, or whether it's people who are looking at bringing some defense-related manufacturing onto the site or adjacent to the site. So we really need a mix of folks. But yes, I commit, we will always have rural ag representation, rancher representation on that board.
With that, I want to take the opportunity to thank the candidates both for being here and sharing some of their views and fielding our questions. So thank you both.